viewers from across the globe, today is Monday, July 6th. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's strong diplomatic ties with the Vatican, pledging continued support for interfaith dialogue as a tool to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. And what a FIFA World Cup talking point. U.S. striker of Nigerian descent, Folarin Balogun, has his red card ban suspended, reportedly triggered by a personal call from President Donald Trump to FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Let's dive right in. I am OjyOkpe, and this is what's trending. Now, before we dive deeper, let's see what you're talking about right now. We've been tracking conversations on X, Facebook, our YouTube live feed, and of course, Leke. And three stories are dominating your timelines this morning. Trending at number 1, WTO Director General Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is going viral after stealing the show at the World Trade Organization's Open Day in Geneva, dancing to traditional drummers alongside Nigerian masquerades and dancers. Nigeria is bursting with pride. Trending at number 2, a statement from U.S. Congressman Riley Moore is generating fierce debate and fierce reactions online after he declared that the United States will be paying very close attention to how Nigeria's 2027 elections are executed. And trending at number 3, a story that reads like fiction, but is devastatingly real. Gospel Kinani, who was last seen at the age of 14 in 2007, has been found alive inside a Port Harcourt Correctional Facility 18 years later. His parents searched for him and both died knowing or never knowing where he was. We have the details. Now, here is where you come in. Join the conversations. Use the hashtag What's Trending with OjyOkpe. Comment on our live feed. And of course, Leke. Tell me which of these 3 stories matters most to you. Because for the next hour, we're going into everything that has Nigeria and the rest of the world buzzing. But first, the federal government of Nigeria has described comments made by South Africa's minister in the presidency as derogatory and unprofessional after she rejected Nigeria's compensation demand and asked the country to reveal the locations of alleged Nigerian drug dens in South Africa as xenophobic violence continues to gain momentum. Let's watch.
If you own a property in South Africa, it's registered. If it's a house, it's registered with the deeds register, Office of the Deeds Register. If you own a car, it's registered in the INAT system. If you own a business, it's registered with the CIPC. If you're renting offices, they're registered with landlords. But we'll be interested to know where the drug dens of Nigerians are. So they can show us where they've been holding the drugs so that we can clean the drugs in South Africa quite urgently. Those who had properties in South Africa, those properties are in the law. Informal squatter camps and informal settlements are never properties because they are illegal in the country. So you are already violating our law if you're going to tell us about a shack in some informal settlement. That's why we have also, as government, approved the PI, what is the protection of, the one that makes sure that when we evict and remove informal settlements, there's no longer going to be informal settlements built in the areas, including the evictions in the informal settlements, in line with our court judgments. So, if there's no compensation that will come from government, those who leave their properties, if they are properly legally registered in the country, they can dispose of the properties in the property market in South Africa, whether it's a movable or immovable property. And we are going to seriously appreciate to be told where are the drug dens. Thank you very much.
Now, South Africa's minister's comments come as Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that 2 Nigerians have been killed in South Africa's security custody. Emeka Charles Iroegbu was killed after police officers used gruesome interrogation techniques, and Nnaemeka Matthew Andrew Ekpeyong, who died in the custody of the Swano Metro Police, with a search of his residence yielding no incriminating evidence whatsoever. A third Nigerian, Musa Yunana Joe, also known as Big Joe, was killed by unidentified attackers in front of his shop, according to the statement. These are not just statistics. These are men with names, with families, who went to South Africa to work and build a life. And as Nigeria mourns, South Africa's minister in the presidency has not only rejected the compensation demand, but asked Nigeria to reveal its drug dens, Rufai. Can you imagine? A remark the federal government has rightly described as derogatory and unprofessional. Now, the 2 Nigerians are dead, allegedly at the hands of South African security forces. This diplomatic crisis is far from over, and Nigeria will not be silent. But the question that demands an answer is this: if South Africa's own security forces are killing Nigerians, who exactly is protecting them? Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Rufai, I came to you because I'd like for you to, unpack this story. I mean, you saw the minister over the weekend trending because of, the remarks she made about Nigerians and the drug den. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about legitimate businesses that have been seized. And this is the sort of statements, rhetorics that cause this that fuels this xenophobic attacks. Your comments?
So, I think I said on this platform that the government of South Africa is complicit. I made it as a statement then, I didn't have facts. But after this interview with Richard Itoro, we have facts, because he stated that the key participants in this protest were given Hilux vans by the government of South Africa. That's an eyewitness of account of somebody that stays in South Africa. Oji, I don't like to respond to flippant ministers from South Africa, because, you see, it shows the way they see us. For her to have the effrontery to say that Nigeria lives in shacks, maybe that's what she lives as a minister. Our entire mindset is a shack itself. So you don't expect her to say anything better for Nigerians that are hardworking in the country. Like I said, they will pay compensation. And not be today, but at some point, they will pay compensation. All of this she's saying is utter rubbish. Richard Itoro stated here that it was paying mortgage on a home worth 1.2 million rand. That's over 100 million naira. The mail trail of the mortgage is there. Do they pay mortgages on shacks? The agent is there. So there are evidence to these trails. He said cumulatively all his assets there, and this is just one person, was worth about 3-point-something million rand. I don't know, I have not done the calculation, but I think that should be in the range of about 300 million naira. So that's like close to $500 million. These are documented assets. So when this minister is saying people live in shacks, they have evidence of their asset. They will pay compensation. See, when we are ready with South Africa, when our government is ready with them, it's not on this Mpumulanga minister that is talking with her mouth, or this Wena that will be talking. When we start to do it at the government-to-government basis, this one will not even be there to see anything. So all this one, they can gesticulate and they can be jakporoing and be talking because they want to win election and favor their local base. And another thing, Oji, we've come to realize is that most Nigerians, they are not illegals. I asked him again, because there's another narrative. Yeah. And almost everybody being harassed in South Africa are illegals. No.
No, we had our Air Peace flights coming. We had our reporters on ground asking the returnees questions, and they were all legal. They had their documents and all of that.
So they are not illegal. So they will pay. They leave all these ones. Who are these ones on the pecking of my government appointee? They will pay. We are coming.
All right, but I'm glad that the federal government has responded really quickly, Dr. Bati.
The thing to add is that earlier on, we had said Nigeria could follow the example of Ghana and report the South Africans to the African Union Commission. However, the international body that resolves disputes between states is the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. Will Nigeria be willing to go a step further and declare a dispute with South Africa at the level of the International Court of Justice? Because a paragraph in that statement that was issued yesterday morning by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs made it clear that South Africa is complicit. South Africa has failed to discharge its responsibility to protect under international customary law. And 3, Nigeria is calling for an investigation, and Nigeria is saying that South Africa itself should investigate March on March with one of the anti-immigrant groups and also Operation Ludara. And yet this, junior minister in the presidency comes along and she just spewing hate and blackmailing Nigerians for problems that were caused by the objective conditions in South Africa itself. If the South Africans say they don't have employment, if they say they don't have jobs, if they say they don't have prosperity, post-apartheid, it is for the South African government to address that. It's not the problem of people from Zimbabwe or from Zambia or outsiders. And then I wonder what some of those former apartheid figures will be thinking now. They will say, well, we seem to have been vindicated. Even Donald Trump is likely to say, well, by pulling out what South Africans willing ones out of South Africa, he knew that this is how these South Africans would behave. So the joke is on the South Africa.
Absolutely.
But the Nigerian government, in the sense of protecting its citizens and pursuing citizen diplomacy, may well go to the International Court of Justice. Because if you are expecting that compensation will be given just like that, the South African government has made it clear it's not going to pay compensation. They are even calling us a country of drug dealers.
Yes.
What insult?
Country of drug dealers. We want justice for those Nigerians that have been killed. 3 of them so far, according to the statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But we also saw Big Joe. We took that story live here on What's Trending. We demand justice. And we need our property back from South Africa, really. All right. Now, to a new explosive details that are emerging in the presidency's fake agency scandal. And they are raising far more questions than the presidency's statement has answered. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Temitope Ajayi, has confirmed that the police established Adeyemi's appointment letter was forged, stating that the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, does not issue appointment letters and that only the secretary to the government of the federation does, making Adeyemi's claim a red flag from the start. Let's take a look.
We don't know yet how he got a forged letter of appointment. It is clear, I've seen the police report, that the signature of the chief of staff to the president was forged. And then if you have seen the letterhead on which the so-called appointment was written, it shows that the State House letterhead was also forged State House letterhead. Because on the State House letterhead, there is no contact telephone address or contact telephone number on State House letterhead. On his own, on his purported appointment letter, there is, so anybody who understands the way the system works, we know that this is pure scam and forged document.
Well, in the meantime, an independent investigation by a civil society organization, Good Governance Group, has uncovered a far more alarming layer to this story. While Prince Adeyemi, the DG of the fake agency, was arrested in October 2025 and charged in November 2025, the budget code titled Presidential Economic Advisory Council, Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council was quietly inserted into the 2026 executive budget during the very same months with a 1.3 billion naira allocation. And here is the crucial detail that explains how it slipped through. The name Presidential Economic Advisory Council was not invented. It was borrowed from a real Buhari-era body established in September 2019 with real members, a real mandate, and a legitimate place in government records that was never formally dissolved when Tinubu came to power. A budget reviewer seeing that name would not immediately flag it as suspicious because something by that name genuinely existed under a previous president. That is the camouflage. 10 specific program lines, detailed submissions written in correct budget language, and it survived every single review stage and was signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on April 17, 2026. 3 senior civil servants were officially posted to the fake agency by the Office of the Accountant General, sitting in an empty office for weeks with absolutely nothing to do. Ayo, this investigation reveals that Adeyemi allegedly borrowed the same name of a dormant Buhari-era body, inserted it into Nigeria's budget with 10 specific program lines. He secured office space at the Federal Secretariat and had 3 civil servants officially posted to him by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, all with a forged letter. And yet, despite being arrested in October 2025 and charged in November 2025, Adeyemi is not behind bars. Nigerians are asking so many questions. Ayo, Serap has responded, but I'd like your comment before I read part of Serap's response.
All right, thank you. So I think this is like an onion.
Yes.
The more you unravel, the more you see more to unravel, and many questions.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why it's important for us to get to the bottom of this matter and why, thankfully, we cannot afford to sweep it under the carpet is that it is such a huge, huge scandal. And it points to, even leave the scandalous part of it, is that it would also point us to areas that we institutionally need to address, where there are gaps, where there are holes, where there are opportunities for forgery. Because like Dr. Fagbemi, who was our guest earlier on, had said, it's like we need to now even protect the president, because if somebody can take on this level of fraud, how many more exist within the presidency? How many agencies are there that are fake? How many people are in positions where they are hosting international potential investors and do not have any kind of formal recognition, and it's a forward position? And then I dare say that you cannot embark on this level of forgery at the level of government that Mr. Adeniyi did without Prince. Well, we need to verify if he's really a prince, because now we have to really verify everything about the man and see to what extent he is true. But it would be a shock to me and surprising if a man like this can take on this kind of fraud without an insider. It would almost be impossible. Because a few questions that have been asked in public space. Number one is that there was a budget defense that was done. Yes, I understand he used the name that existed, but who represented that agency in the budget defense? Was anybody there to represent if there was anything at all? Who signed the appointment letter? They say it was forged, but it means that someone can forge a document at that level and it would pass through to the extent of opening a CBN account. There are questions to be asked, and I'm sorry, heads have to roll. If not, we will not learn lessons. Because how are we sure that the man that is standing behind the president protecting him was given an appointment letter that was not on a forged letterhead? It compromises.
You have opened
What I'm saying is, I'm just saying that if this can happen, anything can happen. And for the credibility of this government, they must find out and get to the bottom of this, so that we do not have thousands. We have ghost workers. Now we now have forged agencies and ghost agencies that should not exist and are receiving budgetary allocation. So for the good of this nation and to engender trust with the people, we have to get to the bottom. Who are those? In fact, Dr. Fabemi suggested earlier on that some principal people should go on administrative leave until this matter is fully addressed, investigated. Agencies are created by law, but okay, DG's office, the office of whatever it is that he was occupying. There are many areas where this happened, and if a fake, well, they called it a fake agency. So whoever created the agency, if one could have existed and had such backings, including a CBN TSA account, questions must be asked, and we have to get to the bottom of this.
All right, I'll take a tweet from Sarah. They wrote, "We've urged the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to urgently disclose certified copies of all documents relating to the consideration and approval of the allocation of over 1.3 billion naira to the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, Presidential Economic Advisory Council in the 2026 Appropriation Act. We also urge them to provide certified copies of records identifying the members of the National Assembly committees that considered the allocation and the names and official designation of all public officers or representatives who appeared before those committees to defend the proposed allocation. Nobody has a more sacred obligation to obey the law than those who make the law. The National Assembly ought to keep an eye on what the executive is doing and to keep the presidency and agencies of government in check, including before and during the appropriation process, by thoroughly scrutinizing executives' budget proposal before any authorization." I mean, very well said. For me, this is where the ball was dropped. At the National Assembly, the Budget Office, again, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. How did this slip the crack? You want to speak, Dr. Bater?
Sarah is making that request under the FOI Act.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just enough to say this is what Serap is saying.
Correct.
But, you know, the application should go under the FOI Act.
Right.
And I hope that the National Assembly will respect that request.
Okay.
I think one part we're not talking about is, we keep saying, yes, this person dropped the ball. But there's been a mail trail hitherto. There's been constant correspondence between this fake agency, Office of the Accountant General, Office of this and that, even the Senate, as regards training and all of that. So everybody is complicit in this. It's deeper than you think. Because all those correspondence over the weekend are now coming out. So it's not just a new thing. Another question you should ask is, when the NIPC flagged it that you have a duplicity of duty, after the NIPC flagged it, the Chief of Staff minuted on it, and then this still went through in the budgets. That shows another layer of complicity. So when they keep calling this agency fake, they say, yes, agencies are created by law. I like to take that being fake with a pinch of salt. Because there were hitherto correspondence across all of this ecosystem. Another part of this puzzle, we need to now go back and investigate this Tani Mola person. The condition of his death, the credibility of his death. I mean, you and we all know the Gloria Okon situation in this country. Nigeria is a very interesting country. So the investigation is just even starting, if they allow it happen.
Yes, you're right. The investigation is just
very ugly. It speaks to incompetence, it speaks to institutional failure and lack of credibility.
Yes, well, the police is saying those fake correspondence have been identified as fake, so we need to see more of that sort of investigation. They have Temitope Ajayi says that the letter that he saw from the police says that Femi Gbajabiamila's letter was forged, his signature was forged, and in any case, it's not the office of the Chief of Staff that gives appointment letters. It is the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation that gives the appointment letter. So that settles that at this point. Now, a statement from the US Congressman Riley Moore is generating fierce reactions in Nigeria after he declared in a recent statement that the United States will be paying very close attention to how Nigeria's 2027 elections are executed. Let's take a look.
As you may be aware, the elections are upcoming next year in Nigeria, 2027.
I'm aware.
Is there anything more that the United States can be doing in support, either politically or other ways, that really allow for a fair and free election over there, as opposed to just a formality?
Yeah, what I'd say is that we're certainly going to be watching these results and how these elections unfold and how they're executed. And that's something that myself and the administration are going to be paying very close attention to.
Now, Moore's comments come against the backdrop of growing concerns about electoral integrity ahead of 2027, and Nigerians are reacting with a mix of skepticism and cautious hope. Many are questioning whether U.S. scrutiny will actually change anything on the ground, while others welcome any pressure that could deter electoral malpractice. And I'll take some reactions. Evelyn wrote on X, America paying close attention to Nigeria's election while INEC and the judiciary are still sorting out 2023 is noted. Attention is fine. The question is, what comes after it? Because international observation without consequence has never stopped anything in Nigeria. David wrote on X, well, we have heard this music before. USA should learn to back up words with action, sanction, freeze assets, and if possible, arrest election riggers when they come to America. Also reject rigged elections and don't recognize any government that come in through rigged elections. Rufai, your thoughts before I take more.
I mean, Oji, yes, America has said this constantly, but the question is, yes, I think in some areas they did mete out some decisions, you know, in the past for people, you know, based on the Magnitsky Act and all of that. But see, one thing I've come to notice is this. America is a sovereign nation with interests. Once a political dynamics is completed, America will normally align and try to work with whoever is a beneficiary of that election. Right. Let's not deceive ourselves. This is just rhetoric. They say this all the time, but it doesn't mean it's practical. But I also want to flip it by asking, if the tables were turned, do we go and inspect or have a word on American elections? It's just because of this unequal balance in the world that some people are getting excited that America that has its own interests. Are Americans' elections too clean? Have you not heard accusation or counter-accusation about the elections in America itself?
All right.
Is it not the same American elections that you have a lot of back and forth as regards Russian interference? So the question I ask, who makes them the police of the world anyway? Economic power makes them the police of the world. Maybe when we to grow that kind of economic power, we'll be able to have that influence. Maybe that's why Trump can call FIFA president and say, reverse red card for Fulani, and red card was reversed. I think what we should do and look at internally is how we can also have our elections here that can be credible. We've done it in the past. We did it in 2015. I mean, that was an election where the winners and losers accepted their fate.
Right.
Not to say there was no rigging in 2015, but there was some level of civility. Why can't we, also do things better here? But all this America will intervene in our life.
Rufai, because I teased that story in the headline, the red card thing. No, it's okay. I wanted to just ask. They said Folarin did not deserve the red card. Is that something that you want? Is it true?
He deserved the red card.
Okay, all right, fine, fantastic.
I'm sorry I teased it.
No, it's perfect. I wanted to just say because I teased it. That you say he deserved. Plenty people are saying that he doesn't.
They've analyzed it and it was a well-earned.
It was okay, fine.
Yes.
All right, fine. Now we told you we'll be reading your comments, and we'll take this comment from Noah on Leke regarding this U.S. election story. Noah wrote on Leke, the United States will closely monitor the 2027 Nigeria's election, said Congressman Riley Moore. The question is, does that change anything? Will your report even hold water? Is it not clear that the Nigerian government chooses the report that pleases the government, not the truth? Well, let's keep monitoring, at least for record purposes, and that will be all. Well, thank you to our viewers. Thank you for sharing your posts with us from Leke. We'll continue to highlight posts from Leke as well. Let's now highlight the story that reads like fiction, but is devastatingly real. In 2007, a 14-year-old Gospel Kinane from Ogoniland in River State disappeared without a trace, breaking the hearts of his parents, who both died in quick succession, never knowing what happened to their son. 18 years later, Gospel has now been found, not at home, not abroad, but inside the Nigerian Correctional Centre in Port Harcourt. He is now 33 years old. Arise News correspondent OjyOkpe George covered the story.
That very fateful day, we were in the house between 8 to 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock to 10 till morning. We don't see him. My mother could not go anywhere, nobody go anywhere. We were searching for him here and there. Even this prison yard, this correctional center, we go there almost 2 times.
Gospel's disappearance dealt his parents a fatal blow.
My mother be the first person to think and worry, saying different things, and died. Then my father also died on the spot of this thing. And we were just like that.
Fortune, however, smiled on Paul when a legal practitioner took him to the correctional center to see someone he thought could be his missing brother.
When I get there, I just come in. I saw my brother outside, where he was sitting down. If you look at him, it's like no human being again. He was there, started crying. He was normal, but get there, he become abnormal. I need justice. Because a whole man cannot just be taken away from us, no information, no case file, nothing about him. And then drop in the prison yard for 18 years, good 18 years. Now he come back, become nonsense on earth. No, there must be justice about it.
Really heartbreaking. Thank you, OjyOkpe George, for uncovering this story. Now, Gospel's mental health is now a serious concern after 18 years of incarceration, and a 10 billion naira lawsuit has been filed against both the federal government and River State government over his wrongful detention. But here's the question that demands an answer. Who put a 14-year-old child behind bars? And why did nobody come looking for him for 18 years? Dr. Abat?
No, indeed. His family looked for him. They went to hospitals. But the correctional center where he was eventually found, his brother said they had been there twice.
Yes.
But what is the problem? He is known in that correctional center as Baridi Sunday. But they were looking for a person
exactly.
who had been given another
name
by the correctional center, a new name, Baridi Sunday. So they were looking for Gospel Kinane, but the man inside the custody was a Baridi Sunday, who did not exist to his family. Now, this is part of the problem with the administration of justice in Nigeria and with human dignity. This young man was said to have left home 18 years ago. At the time, he was 14 years old, and then he disappeared. Now, there's nowhere in Nigerian laws where wandering or loitering is an offense. There are many more of such persons that will be either in police detention or in correctional centers who were just arrested for wandering or for loitering. They will ask you, where is your identity card? You cannot produce it. The police will just dump you in their van, and from there you find yourself in prison for no offense whatsoever. This Baridi Sunday, he could have died in the correctional center, except that Justice Simeon Amadi, because chief judges have the right sometimes to go to prisons and to try to do a review and free people. That's how he got lucky. Some people never get lucky. They die in custody. So this is the problem with, the protection of human dignity, the human beings, a person's right to life in this country. And this is, again, to use the phrase about institutional failure. And that's why we urge that there should be, in fact, an audit of all persons in our prisons or correctional centers, they now call them, who are awaiting trial persons or are persons, who have not been taken to court, whose offenses are even unknown. Those prisons are congested. The point has been made. And many of the persons there, they don't even know their offense. They don't even know who their contact persons are. And I think that to the extent that the responsibility of government is to ensure our fundamental human rights under Chapter 4 of the Constitution, this is a very embarrassing outcome. And I hope that the state and whoever is behind his unlawful detention for 18 years. He practically has lost his life. He now has mental issues. We ensure that he is properly rehabilitated, given treatment, and compensated, and that his family will perhaps also file a suit immediately against the Nigerian government, to enforce its fundamental human rights under the laws of Nigeria.
Well, very well said, Dr. Bati. Thank you for your submission. Now let's take a look at some security stories. After more than 2 months in captivity, worshippers abducted during a Christ Apostolic Church crusade in Eda Onyo, in Ekiti State, have finally regained their freedom. The victims were kidnapped on April 28th after gunmen stormed the church, killed the officiating pastor, and abducted 16 worshippers. Now here is the moment the abductees regained their freedom, which has since gone viral. Well, the community had reportedly raised 10.5 million naira, but the captives remained in the forest for over 2 months, enduring starvation, beatings, and severe abuse. Well, Nigerians are happy that the Ekiti victims are now free, but several other kidnapping victims, including students abducted in Oyo State, remain in captivity. The latest rescue has renewed calls for more proactive intelligence and faster security responses to prevent attacks before they occur. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's strong diplomatic ties with the Vatican, pledging continued support for interfaith dialogue as a tool to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. Tinubu rolled out the red carpet for Paul Gallagher, the Holy See's Secretary for Relations with States, at his residence over the weekend, ushered by Foreign Affairs Minister Bianca Ojukwu. The president said his administration remains committed to peace and religious harmony among Nigeria's diverse faith communities. Well, in Osun State, a dramatic confrontation as the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, paid a visit to Governor Ademola Adeleke at the government house in Osogbo and dropped a bombshell, alleging that criminal suspects wanted by the police are hiding inside the government house itself. Let's take a look.
I tell you, sir, that I've not had complaints here, there, and everywhere I have lied, and I will explain everything to you one by one, sir. I've heard that we are not happy, and some people are not happy with the Commissioner of Police for this reason and that reason. He too has briefed me. He briefed me that some suspect is looking for hibernating in the government house. I looked at that. If that is true, why should suspects be in government house? But I've told him, as the police officer in charge, he has a way of going about all this. And I've heard that this party and that party are hibernating suspects, criminals.
Well, Governor Ademola Adeleke fired back, flatly denying the claims and issuing a striking personal challenge to the Inspector General of Police, declaring that if his own son is found guilty of any crime, he should be arrested. Now, with the Osun governorship election fast approaching, allegations of political interference, police neutrality, and the alleged harboring of criminal suspects are set to remain at the very center of this campaign. Nigerians are watching. Still in Osun State, an update on the Uni Osun assault scandal. The Depot Nigeria Army Osogbo, in a viral post on X, says it has not yet received any formal complaint, medical report, or credible evidence to substantiate the rape allegations by students of Uni Osun. The army says it has launched a transparent investigation into allegations and is urging any victim or witness to come forward and present evidence directly to its board of inquiry. I mean, Ayo, can you imagine that? We're hearing, I mean, we did have a video about this woman saying that she was pushed to the door, she was, molested by the army. Yet the army says they don't have more evidence. They don't have enough evidence. Maybe we can send them that video one more time so they can see and maybe question the young woman who says that she was molested, really. But I'd like to take this story before I come to you, then you tie everything in together. And over in Edo State, traditional priests, priestesses, and worshippers have gathered in Benin City on the directive of Oba Ewari II to perform ancestral rites against kidnappers, bandits, and other violent criminals. A video of the ceremony began trending over the weekend, showing a procession from the Oba's palace with libations, traditional rituals, and prayers invoking ancestral judgment on all criminals and their collaborators. Let's take a look. The Benin Palace says the rights are meant to complement, not replace government security efforts. Remember, we took this story and we told you that the Oba of Benin will lay a course on these kidnappers really quickly because we don't have time.
So that, once you deliver, you said it was going to happen and it has happened. Let's see to what extent that would solve the problem. But we have real issues on our hands, Oji, and you've just taken us through some security, very important security updates. The first on the Ekiti kidnap victims. I don't know how many people watched that with their heart breaking, and it was a very difficult video to watch. And that is the price that you pay when you leave kidnapped victims in captivity for so long. There are still big questions to be answered. Thank God that these people are now back home, but who effected their release? Again, we ask, was anyone arrested? What kind of rescue operation happened? Because people are saying that they raised money for their ransom. Is this what we have descended to? A country where criminals make money after almost destroying the lives of... Look at the young people. Look at the women. This is a time when the nation ought to be crying at what we have turned our people to. Young people, even older people. It's a very difficult video to watch. And I believe that this brings again to light that we still have children and adults, teachers, still in captivity from the Oyo State kidnapping, and nothing. They're entering their own 60th day very soon, and we haven't yet seen anything. I hope that there will be a lot of social, psychological support for these people, and I pray that they'll be able to be rehabilitated back into society. It is a very sad scene to watch. Them
home. Now to some cultural pride on the global stage, as Nigerian masquerades and traditional dancers stole the show at the World Trade Organization's Open Day in Geneva. The WTO threw open its doors to the public on Sunday, giving visitors a chance to tour the organization's headquarters, learn about its work, and admire the artworks on display. Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala took to X to share highlights. Let's take a look. right, this was amazing. Other participating nations included China and Egypt, and all those countries were together performing their open day right there at the WTO office. Weren't you proud to see this woman dancing? And it was beautiful to see. Now, over in the United States, the skies lit up with fireworks as the nation marked its 250th anniversary of independence over the weekend, one of the biggest celebrations in American history. President Donald Trump addressed hundreds of thousands of Americans on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., declaring the United States the crowning achievement of human history. Let's take a look.
In all the chronicles of the ages, never before has any nation celebrated so magnificent a triumph as this one. We are the freest people on earth, and by the grace of God, the United States of America is the most successful, most accomplished, most exceptional nation ever to exist in human history. Liberty has prevailed here because of the culture and character of the people who declared it, defended it, and preserved it. We reach a milestone like no other and celebrate with joyful hearts and soaring spirits because after 2.5 centuries, we know that this is not an ending. This is only the beginning of the golden age of America. Happy Independence Day to all. God bless you all. God bless you all.
Congratulations, America. The celebrations were extraordinary. President Trump described America as the greatest country in the world. He also honored the American astronauts who orbited the moon in April. Now to our good news report. A story of academic excellence. As we see, a Nigerian student, Dorcas Akambi, has just graduated from the medical school in Russia with a remarkable 4.90 GPA. Dr. Akambi was seen delivering the valedictory speech for her graduating class in a video that has now gone viral, where she speaks in fluent Russian. Let's take a look.
Сегодня наступил день, которого мы ждали долгих 7 лет. За эти годы мы узнали очень много о стране, в которой мы учились и полюбили ее. Мы получили профессию, о которой мечтали, с которой хотим связать всю свою жизнь. Я хочу сказать моим дорогим однокурсникам, медицина – это престиж, это больше, чем профессия. Это служение человечеству. Каждый раз, когда вы будете надевать белый халат, найдите его с уверенностью, потому что вы его достойны.
Congratulations, Dr. Akambi has received hundreds of congratulatory messages from Nigerians all around the world responding to her video. From all of us at Arise News, we wish her an incredible journey all the way. Dr. Abati, did you want to comment quickly on Dr. Akambi? Really quickly.
Congratulations to her.
Before we take our final story.
She graduated first from Unilag before going to Russia, you know, and then I don't know how they learn this language.
Yes,
the other day it was Chinese. One guy speaking fluent Chinese. So
all right.
Some people have gifts.
All right,
special
fantastic.
talents.
Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, now we'll take our final story under entertainment, highlighting Afro Nation Portugal 2026, the global celebration of African music, which wrapped up in Praia de Rocha Beach over the weekend. And Nigeria owned every single night. Burna Boy opened the festival on July 3rd, alongside South Africa's Tyler. Ashake electrified day 2, treating fans to a powerhouse set of hits, including Forgiveness, with the crowd singing every word. And Wizkid closed the festival on July 5th, bringing the curtain down on an extraordinary 3 nights of Afrobeats. Let's take a look.
kumatingaza Shina sayon falapa Agata from Osapa Funi bulala Nishe lo japa
Last night, now everybody go to breakfast. Shayo.
You can for the result, nothing to discuss, cause I did with the right. And without them, they doubt, I'm not being happy, I don't know. I don't go feel the
Now, from Lagos to Portugal, Nigeria gave the world a masterclass this weekend. Other Nigerian stars on the Afro Nation stage include Olamide, Young John, Dako, and Wande Cole. They also brought together the energy to the Portugal shores. Afrobeats is not just a genre anymore. It is now a global, it has always been a global movement. Congratulations to all our stars. On that note, I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on what's trending. You know how I like to highlight our Afrobeat stars. Well, that's all I have for you on what's trending today. Well, here is Falz's new song, Naje, from his latest EP, Break Time. Enjoy it, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
New challenge, ginger them. This kind pretend I read talent. Be resilience, I be madness. Turn up for life, turn down kidney.